Nitpick.
Hello there everyone, this is Jonny Nitpick with Daniel of Slope's Game Room, and today we're going to talk about Star Fox Zero. There will be a review coming up on my main channel, but this is just kind of for me and him to give our free thoughts on the game, what we think of it, so hope you enjoy. Okay, do you want to go ahead and talk first about what you think? Because I'm really interested to hear what you want to say.
What I want to say, okay, right, so I didn't complete the game, which I know is a really bad thing. You shouldn't really review a game if you haven't completed it. But looking at the map, and I've seen reviews online that shows the completed map and all that sort of stuff. I think I was probably about halfway through the game, almost, about 40% through the game. And by that point, I realised, fuck this. I'm not going to continue playing this game. I'm still really struggling with these controls, and that's what it is. And everyone's already said about the controls. You will get used to them, you know, but oh my god, they're so backwards. They really are. I just can't get to grips with them. Everything that you feel like you should be doing just doesn't work. And you know what, I just want to say straight off the bat, I am not anti motion controls in the slightest. In fact, I probably like them a bit too much. And when games progress into motion controls, and it's done well, I've got absolutely no problem with it. When I first played Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii, the original Wii, I thought that was fine. I mean, it didn't go crazy. You had to do the old crossbow bits. That was fine. If I look at, like, for instance, Pikmin on the original GameCube was one of my favourite games, and I played Pikmin 2 on the GameCube. When I finally played those revamped versions on the Wii, it really worked.
Yeah, it's done very well with those games.
Yeah, absolutely. Metroid Prime, I think there is no better way to play it than with that little attachment, and you're actually moving around and pointing around with a real, like, well, not a real gun, but with that gun thing. I think that's the way to play it, and it's the same with Link's crossbow training, because you're using the same thing there. Punch Out for the Wii, it gave you that option. Do you want to, like, use your motion controls, or do you want to use a normal, like, old school control method? And obviously everyone went for that old school control method, and this game just didn't do that, and it went so far in the direction of forcing you to play it, and everyone's already said it, so I'll very quickly go over it again. But having to look at the controller and then look at the screen and back and forth, and I remember, like, looking at the little Wii U gamepad, like, okay, they're shoot, moving around, which I've got no problems with moving it around, but and I'm thinking all the whole time, I'm thinking to my head, fuck, what's happening to my ship, you know? And then I was about 40% through the game, and the controlling of Star Fox is bad. I don't know what they're called. I'm really sorry. I haven't got any big nostalgia on Star Fox, I'm going to say. But the actual R-Wings, whatever they're called, the spaceships,
Yep.
They control fairly bad, but when you start controlling the land vehicle things, that's when it got really bad for me. And I was just like, after a little while, I was like, nah, fuck this, I'm not playing this anymore. Back in the day, I'd probably keep the games even just to have them still. I sold it. I'm happy to say I put that game straight up on eBay. Thankfully, because it was so early, I got all my money back, so I still got to experience it for free practically. But oh man, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan. There you go.
Okay, good. Okay, so what I'm gonna say about, I completely 100% agree about all the freaking controller, the options and all that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous. The biggest thing, and what I've always believed when it comes to gaming and controls, is now this isn't my quote, but game controls should be an invisible part of the gaming experience. When you play a game, you should not have to think about, like what you were saying, like, oh my god, what's going on with my ship kind of thing. That should not be what's happening when you're playing the game. You should be able to be in control and feel like you're in control as a player. There is elements when they do that right. Like, for instance, Zombie U, I think they did that brilliantly, because it's a scary thing. You're not worried about what's happening to my... You are worried about what's happening to my character, because it's a zombie game, and it's redoing that thing where you're having to look into your backpack, and then you're like, oh shit, what's going on? So you have a quick look up at the screen, and your character is actually looking around. I think that's quite cool. Yeah, that's when it's done well. Yeah, and in Zombie U, it's supposed to be like that. You're supposed to, you're supposed to feel like, oh my god, I have to look down at the gamepad screen to do this, and like, what's going to happen to me when I do that? You shouldn't have to feel like that in a Star Fox game. But I think that's my biggest issue is a lot of these games that use the motion controls for the gameplay. They give you other options. They let you do other things. Obviously, perfect game that comes to mind is Super Smash Brothers. Like, you have all these controller options you can do. In all these other games, they controls are allowed to become an invisible part of the experience. In almost every other game that uses motion controls from Nintendo, like you were saying with Twilight Princess, especially with the HD remake of that. Like, what I like about the HD remakes of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker is you can use the gyroscope controls, which is, for those of you who don't know, you have to use the gyroscope controls in this game when you're playing. You have no other option. But yeah, when you use the gyroscope in the Zelda games, the remakes of those, it feels so right.
Yeah,
it just feels good because like you're only using it for a certain part of the game. When in Star Fox Zero, you don't have a choice; you have to use it throughout the whole fucking game. It's terrible.
Yeah. But so this is your review. You're not a fan.
Yeah. No. That's the funny part is I think this game is actually pretty good.
Okay.
It did one thing I will say about the controls. Now, I don't love them. But I do like them. I like the different approach they took with it. And you were 100% right about what people say about it. It takes a while to get used to the controls. I'd say I was recording the game and I was playing the game for probably about 2-hour play sessions for 3 nights in a row. Okay. And finally on the third night of playing the game for 2 hours straight, I finally feel like I'm at a point now where I'm used to it. Where I'm used to the controls.
Where would you say you're in at the game? Had you completed it by this point, or?
Yes. I'd say I completed it, and I was. Let's see. I was going through. I believe they have like a separate training mode for you to do like extra missions and stuff like that. So I'd completed the main story, but once you complete the main story, it unlocks this arcade mode where it's more like Star Fox 64. I didn't know. You said you don't have a big past with Star Fox.
No, I don't. And I've played Star Fox, but on the 3DS is actually the only version I've played. I've had a quick go on the actual N64, but I never had it. I had an N64 back in the day, but it was very late to its. I was very late to its life cycle. I bought Pokemon Snap New and a few other things like that. Okay. But I didn't have Star Fox then, and I remember seeing friends play Star Fox on the SNES, and for the time I thought, wow, yeah, it done exactly what it needed to do. Absolutely blow the Mega Drive out of the water in terms of graphics. But, I think if you did go back to that and you have absolutely no nostalgia to that original Star Fox, you're not really going to have the best of time. The one to play is definitely Star Fox 64. And I've played the 3DS version, and I had a really good time with it. It was good. I wanted this game to be like, and although this was way too long-winded, that Kid Icarus game for the 3DS.
Oh, nice.
So that one worked, I thought. That one worked. And when I tell you I haven't got much of a past with Star Fox, my favourite Star Fox game is Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube. Like, I really enjoyed that game. And I'll tell you one thing, and I'm very happy as fuck to say it, the flying segments on Star Fox Adventures kick this one's ass. Obviously not graphically in the worlds and all that sort of stuff, but the way it controls, I loved it compared to this. See, you say you practically completed it, or you did complete it by the time you got used to the controls. Don't you think that's insane? You started to enjoy the controls, or at least get used to them enough for it to feel like you're not constantly thinking, fuck, hang on, what am I doing? After you completed the game.
It's and that's that's definitely like the biggest problem I think the game has is its controls. And once you get over that hump, and you finally get used to them, one thing I will say that helps, there's an option in the menu when you pause the game, and you can, because if you play it normally, you have to have the motion controls on all the time. But there's an option in the menu you can go to. So if you pause the game, I think it's in the top right corner, you can make it to where the motion controls are only activated when I think you press ZL, which is the top. ZR, which is the shoot button. Right. And so, and when you're not using ZR, it centers the cursor back in the middle of the screen. So, because when you're playing a game for a while, and you're moving around and stuff like that, and then obviously when you're moving around all the time, the motion controls that are on all the time are gonna be moving around too, and you're like, okay, well now I have to fucking readjust myself again. This is a pain in the ass.
The readjustment. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. That wound me the fuck up too.
I know it drives me crazy, and I was like, how do I fix this? I really hope there's some sort of controller options, and that was the first thing that got to me when I started playing the game, and I was like, I am just gonna fucking trash this game. This is so bad. But then, once you turn on that option to where it only does the motion controls when you shoot, it does make the game a hell of a lot easier to control. That's for sure.
Sure. I mean, maybe that's what I've heard a lot of people say, actually. I believe it was a little while ago now I sold it. It was maybe almost 2 weeks ago or so, I suppose, I sold it. I believe I did that too.
Yeah. It's almost, honestly, it's almost a requirement unless you're like somebody who's just so static sitting in a chair, and I'm not. I move around a lot, like I readjust myself.
It's a game that requires you to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the biggest crime of the game. Obviously, everybody's saying it. That's the biggest crime of the game is that you just don't. You don't have any options. There's no control options. Nintendo said, screw it. They're gonna play the way we want them to play, and that's it.
I do see sort of, even though I'm kicking off about it, I do sort of see where Nintendo's coming from in the sense where it's such a. I think it would take away a lot if you didn't have that cockpit option, because it's almost an entirely different game then. You know, like that precise aiming is something you can't do with the screen, and it's given it a different element. So if they just released a thing where they cut off the gamepad and you were just playing with a controller, it would play better for me, but I think it would be an entirely different game. And I don't know if this game, a patch, will fix it. I really don't think it will. I think it's so far in that really pushed on you motion controls with having to look at two screens at once. That I don't think that if they turned the gamepad off and just gave you that other option, I don't think it would be the same game at all. I don't know.
Another thing that makes it bad when you're sometimes it like you don't have to always look at the cockpit all the time, but sometimes the game will do this thing, which I think what it's trying to do is be cinematic. What it'll do is, because usually the camera is sort of centered behind the ship in a third-person view for a majority of the game, right?
Yeah.
So what it'll do sometimes, it just feels like it. It just feels like doing this, apparently. It'll show, like, if you destroy a boss, or if you're attacking a boss and a boss is, like, going into, like, a different mode of the fight. Or if they're doing a certain specific attack, or if, you destroyed, like, a missile and it's exploding and you have to get away from it, the camera will switch to where it has the ship and the thing that you're destroying or the thing that's moving or whatever, both of them are in view. And it will take it. It's really jarring, and it takes the camera that was once, behind you in a third-person perspective. It'll make it go to the side. It'll make it go to above you, and it does this without really any warning.
Absolutely.
And that makes it to where you have to immediately look down at the gamepad and say, "Okay, oh crap, where am I?" And you have to get your bearings, and you have to find out where you are, and that makes it even worse. And it makes the controls feel even worse. It makes you feel more out of control of the whole experience as a player. And I feel like there's just some things that they just could have taken out. Another thing I was gonna bash the game for, I don't know if anybody else has said this, I'm sure they have. It's so it plays on nostalgia, and a perfect word I'm gonna use in my review probably at the beginning of it is this game is so pandering to the Star Fox audience. Instead of carving itself a new story, new characters.
Oh my god! Look where it's set. Like this game has
new locations.
So much. Like
it could have.
Imagine if Star Wars was the exact same story every single time.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, okay, so the thing is, it's Star Fox, and partially this game is based on story because there's a big. I don't want to go too much into spoiler territory, but this isn't spoiler, so it does say at the beginning of the game, Star Fox's dad died, James McCloud, and no one knows. Well, they say he died. No one knows what happened to him, right? But if you've played Star Fox 64, you know what happened. And this game does the exact same thing. It's pretty much the exact same plot with maybe a couple of things added in. It's the exact same Lilat system. They don't go to, they could have gone to a different system. You could have been somewhere else.
Space.
Exactly. You have an infinite amount of possibilities, but we're still seeing this Sector X, Sector Y. You start on freaking Corneria like you do in Star Fox 64. It's like, and on top of all that, characters, NPCs, your shipmates like Peppy, Slippy, Falco, they will say a lot of the same lines that they said in Star Fox 64. Like the first line that Peppy says to you in Star Fox 64 when you beat the Corneria mission is, "You're becoming more like your father." And then it says the exact same line when you beat Corneria mission. It's just like, this is just in here to pander to the Star Fox audience. This is just, it's ridiculous, crappy fan service.
It's
like,
hard, isn't it? Because, like, I don't know, like Mario, it's the same story every single time, yet it's incredibly good games. It's because the levels are so... Remember when Galaxy come out? And I remember looking at pictures like, so you're a bee in this weird sort of planet level, and there's so many different cool little mechanics that make every Mario game so different, but it's the same storyline. You gotta go save the princess, Bowser's got her. But Star Fox really, and obviously games like Metroid and stuff like that, should completely be their own stories. Maybe even like a story arc. Like, you could make so much with this. They could have taken it so far, but they've done the exact same story again. Again, that's not the biggest problem for someone like me. Well, no, is it though? Because say this game played exactly how we wanted to play it. I loved it so much. I'm like, that does it. I'm going to go back and play Star Fox 64 and the original Star Fox, maybe that repro one that never got released. And I'm just, is it going to be the exact same thing again? Yeah, it is. Like,
God, yeah, and it's
imagine if it was different stories. That would have been so good.
I know, it would have been freaking amazing. I would have loved to see a different villain. I would have loved to see even maybe some different, like, I mean, maybe this is taking it too far, but different, like, shipmates, but, just different characters in the series. Like, even the same side characters show up in the game. Like, there's a character called Cat, which is like I don't know if I guess Star Fox and Falco have a crush on her. But anyway, she's a different pilot. And she shows up in the game, and it's still the same Star Wolf fleet. You have Pigma and Star Wolf and all that. It's just they're all the same characters. It's all the same plot. It's all the same, almost exactly same locations. Except I think Star Fox 64 kind of had cooler locations in it, but which is bad, And then on top of that, the game's short. I suppose it needs to be. I mean, they've always been short though, haven't they? Yeah. But what they could have done was, this is different than it does play different than Star Fox 64, because Star Fox 64 you started the game on Corneria, and then you just played one mission after another, and it was a straight shot. With this game, you can jump around and go back to missions and do stuff like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You couldn't do that in Star Fox 64. It was a straight shot. That's
not the biggest change, though. Gaming, like, forever has always done, like... Okay, I mean, if I look at something completely different, but okay, so Streets of Rage is a game I've had a lot of like nostalgia with. So when you finally go up against Mr. X, is the big bad guy in the big green suit with his machine gun. When you get to the end of number 2, it's very similar, and but something different. Oh my god, you think you've killed him, but oh my god, something happens, and in the third game, oh my god, he's a robot. It's the same thing, but something. When you finally feel like you think you've killed him. No, you haven't. It's about to get a lot harder, and they could have done something like that. Maybe kept like the majority of the story the same. If they wanted to keep all of the fanboy service happy. They got it right first time. If they really wanted to go out, I don't think they should have done, but they could have done a big twist. They could have done a twist like, oh wow, something's just opened up here. Like
you get to the end of the game and you're like, oh crap, I'm only halfay through. Or anything.
Yeah, something that would have absolutely blown it away, done something different. But no, it's a shame. It's a shame.
One thing I will mention is that I don't know if you've heard this Miyamoto phrase, like how he said he doesn't want to make sequels to games unless he feels like there's something that he can add into the game to make it a different experience for the player. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like how he won't make F-Zero because he's like, I don't think there's really anything we can add to the series to make it to where it's a different game. And the thing I find most ironic about that is, obviously Nintendo worked very closely with Platinum to make this game.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think Platinum did a great job, and I'm sure that Nintendo had a really big hand in oh, by the way, you need to have the game control this way. You need to do this.
Yeah,
that. I'm sure
I
Nintendo
bet.
was very, 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 restrictive with them because they are fantastic developers, and I'm
They
sure
really are.
we both
They
know
really are.
that. Bayonetta is amazing. And
Bayonetta's fantastic.
they do a crazy good job with what they do, and instead of I don't think it's obvious that Nintendo doesn't view the story of Star Fox or anything like that. They don't give that any sort of credence. They don't care because this is obviously a rehash. But what they could have done was give Miyamoto, come on, man, let's listen to me, man. You could give the players a new location to explore. You give the players a new story. You could give the players and what they did, I guess they included new vehicles. Did you want to talk about the vehicles? Because you did say something about that.
Yeah, it was. I was almost.
Did you say you hated them all?
Oh man, I hated them more than the flying. Like, okay,
no, the flying is definitely the smoothest for sure.
Yeah, so let me explain it like this. So if we look at flying, okay, to start with, imagine so if someone's not played this is what it's like. Imagine playing Grand Theft Auto on your TV, and you're in that third person mode. You're in a car, but on your controller, you're watching it from the cockpit, and also you've got to move left and right and shoot your guns out of the window while driving the car, which you can't see all cars coming from around you. But don't worry, it gets worse than that because you've also got to go up and down because it's a space simulator. That's how ridiculously backward this game is. I mean, that is insane to think that. I mean, it's already hard enough if you're playing some kind of any type of game where you're trying to control and shoot at the same time, drive a car and shoot at the same time. But this just takes it to another level because you've also got another screen to be looking at. Yeah. So what I'm going to refer it to, what I wanted the vehicle, the more to really feel like, is the tank versions of the Batman Arkham Knight games. So
I haven't played that.
Okay, so Batman just plays like when you're in the car, it's a bit slippery, to be fair. A lot of people had a bit of a problem with the way that the Batmobile felt. It's just like a typical driving through all the streets. It's very destructive, smashing through stuff because it's a massive Batmobile. A little bit slippery, I suppose, but there was this thing that you could do where you could hold down a button, I think, or push a button to change. I can't remember why exactly. But what happened was it turned it into a tank, and the wheels twisted, and now you're controlling around. You're strafing left and right and moving forward and back, and it feels like a tank that can go left and right as well. So that's what I wanted this to feel like. But what this does with the controls is you're running forward, but say you're now in front of a rock and you want to get around that rock. What you need to do is stop, turn to the right, move forward, turn to the left, move, and that's how you get around. There's no strafing not that I could find, not good strafing involved with the controlling vehicles, and I found it so bloody annoying. I know you got that double tap thing where you can go tap and then
the roll
jump. Yeah, you've sort of got that, but that doesn't 100% work exactly how you want it to work. It's not as simple as hold right to go right.
I know.
And that was even harder to get you to grips with, and it shouldn't do because it's on one single flat playing ground. It should be easier to control than the flying sections, but they found that literally you're driving what technically should be like a car or a tank or something. They fucked that up more than the flying sections. A car, something that was mastered in the, I don't know, like before the NES, like that long ago, and they fucked it up. And oh my god, I was so angry at this point. I mean, I am not playing this anymore. I'm about 40% through this game. I'm not enjoying it. I'm so angry. And you know what? And it's nothing to do with the gamepad, because I actually believe, even though, like I just said, Batman Arkham Knight, I love that, and Uncharted 4, like one of the best gaming experiences I've had in a very long time. I still think the Wii U is the best system out of all of this new generation. That Pikmin 3 I loved. I wish it had online, but I loved Pikmin 3.
I know.
Zombie U, I think that was fantastic. And the reason I bring up Pikmin is because you've got the old GameCube controls where you have a normal controller. You've got the Wii motion controls where you use it almost like a mouse, I suppose, pointing at the screen. But they did a random update just out of the blue once on Pikmin 3. If you go back in, and you might not, I don't know if you noticed or not, they've done this weird thing where you played the whole game using the touchpad, literally clicking the screen. They've just done a random update. They've given you another option.
That's awesome.
Brilliantly.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, that's the way I wanted it to play from the beginning, and it didn't, and I was kind of disappointed about that.
Yeah, so it's giving you that option. We're getting into different territory now. Maybe they were doing that because they want to test out what it'd be like on a 3DS or something. But anyway,
yeah.
There's a bit in Captain Toad. You played Captain Toad, didn't you? So
absolutely. Yeah, I got a review up on it for sure.
Yeah, so there's a bit on that when you're in the minecart, and it does this sort of control where you have to now look at the gamepad to like shoot stuff through the gamepad and move that around, sort of the same as you do on so that is doing the same thing, and it's so, oh my god, that's jarring, but you can forgive it because it's a puzzle game and it's supposed to be a bit like that, right? But that's what the entire game of Star Fox is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and in Captain Toad, for one, that's only a small segment,
tiny.
So I mean,
it's tiny.
Yeah, so it's not huge. That only happens every once in a while. And in Captain Toad, they give you a very fair warning that, oh yeah, this is about to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and like I say, it's puzzle, so it's supposed to. I feel like it's supposed to jar you, like, oh fuck, you know.
Yeah. So you have to go back and play the mission again or whatever. But
absolutely, Mario Maker is obviously perfect for the Wii U gamepad. Like, there's no better game probably for the gamepad. Splatoon works brilliantly with the motion controls on. So basically, what I'm getting at is I've got no problem with motion controls or the gamepad. I actually think the gamepad's brilliant and mega underused. Unfortunately, they used it way too much in this one instance, and it just went so far the wrong way. If I'm not enjoying the game 40% through the game, and I'm still struggling, and I kept going back and redoing the same training mission over and over and over and over to really try and hone in on those, definitely the ground mission controls. Yeah. And when I'm like, there's one where you have to run through loads of rings, and you basically, I can't remember what I think it's stars or coins or something you're collecting.
Is that the when you're using the like chicken transformation thing?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And basically there's bits where I'm like, now, what am I doing? I'm like pushed up against a corner of a wall, and it feels like you've given your Nana controller for the first time and say, here, I'll play this Call of Duty game, go. And it's just like, that's what I felt like while I was playing it. And I tried over and over and over and over again. I'm like, oh, right, there I am. Let me just turn around. Okay, now I'm turned around. It's like, I hated it so much. I was like, fuck this, I'm selling it.
No, I completely agree. Actually, one thing I was going to say about the vehicles is, so for those of you who don't know, they introduced three new vehicles in this.
Could be more, I don't know.
Yeah, really. Well, they have, yeah, it's technically 3, but you don't use one except in a training mission for some stupid reason. But I don't know. I don't know what that's about. There's like this little dune buggy kind of vehicle that they introduce, but you don't get to play with it until you, I think, beat the main game, and then it unlocks this special training mission that you use it, and it's just sort of like driving around in a car, and it's completely useless. I don't know. Anyways. So they have the gyro. Woo! Oh, bug in my throat. They have the gyrocopter, which is one of the new ones.
Is that the one where you're going around almost like a drone?
Yeah, exactly. And you can drop down this little droid that can hack into computer systems. And it takes a little second. And I'm going to get to that in just 1 second. I want to know what you think.
Yeah, sure.
And then you now have a new mode on the R-Wing where you press A and you can transform into this little chicken R-Wing that can walk around on 2 legs, and it pretty much controls exactly like the tank. Big issue I have with that is literally that thing can just replace the tank. And it makes it to where having the tank in the game is kind of useless. One thing I'll even add to that is, I don't know if you got this far, but later on in the game, you're on a tank mission where you just have to use the tank, and you're like, okay, this thing's kind of big and bulky, but it's literally pretty much the exact same controls and exact same everything, except I think it does a little bit more damage than the little chicken walker. I don't even know what that thing's called, to be honest.
No, I'm not with chicken water.
Yeah, but people know what we're talking about, I'm sure. But anyway, so you're playing as the tank, and then they introduce this upgrade where you can press A when you're using the tank, and you can fly around just like you would when you're the ship. So now there's literally no difference between the tank and the ship. Like, because you can press A as the ship, turn into a chicken walker that is just like the tank. You can press A as the tank to turn into a ship version of the tank.
Right.
So it's like, why do you even have the tank in the game anymore? Or why did you introduce this chicken walker thing if it's just going to take the place of the tank? This makes no sense.
So what you're saying is there should be some kind of mega mechanic between the tank and the chicken walker.
Yeah, they should have made them. Yeah, they should have made them much more different. That's one thing. I mean, I guess you could say the chicken walker is a little bit more agile. It's a little bit quicker, but that's about it. It's not as bulky. You know, it can't take as many hits either. But that's about it. It's like the same thing. It has like the same controls. You press down on the right stick to hover. You press forward to boost. You press right twice to do a little dodge roll. You know, it's the same. It's the same controls and the same. Anyways, I don't know what you think about that. If you think that that's something that really, I mean, honestly, it's, to me, I say, why include the chicken walker? Just to say, like, it's just like another Miyamoto thing. It's like, okay, well, we have it in the game because it's something new, and it's not. It doesn't. And
it isn't new because it was in Star Fox 2 that never come out. So.
exactly. The chicken walker was in the unreleased Star Fox game. But like, and you know, when it comes to that, it's like, okay, that's something new, I guess you could say. But I thought it didn't matter if it, you know, if this thing that's new doesn't add anything to the gameplay. Then why is it here?
I haven't really got much to say on it. I hated those vehicles so much. They're all as bad as each other in my mind.
I don't mind the tank, but maybe that's because I played so much Star Fox 64.
I do think the tank was definitely better than the chicken walker, without a shadow of a doubt. But one's less crap than the other crap one. That's how I'm seeing it. And I'm really not trying to be the over the top negative, and that's definitely what I'm coming across against. But I didn't like the game that much, and I really wanted to. Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, and I was gonna get to the gyrocopter too. The gyrocopter is. There's a. Did you do the mission with the gyrocopter?
Yeah, I've done a few. So you need to get close to a ledge, and then you push down a thing, and a little droid goes down, but you're never really perfectly above it, so it takes loads of attempts.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's one thing I was gonna say about the gyrocopter. Is it reminds me of you know, like. When you're this will work perfectly for you. We know, like, when you're playing a Sonic game and you're just blasting through those levels. You know, you're going through them so fast because, you know, that's what Sonic's about, is blasting through those levels, having a good time. And then you reach this one part where they make you slow down for some stupid reason, and you're like, wow, this is not fun at all. I'm not having a good time on this, you know, one random section.
In the
of this
3D
game.
ones, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely in the 3D ones. It's mainly in the 3D ones.
Oh, okay. I was about to say it's a perfect mechanic for 2D. So
yeah, like the adventure games and all that. But that's what I feel about the gyrocopter levels. Is the level design isn't good enough to hold up the gyrocopter's slow, clunky mechanics. They slow the gameplay down to just a crawl, and it drives me nuts. I remember the first time I was playing through a gyrocopter mission, I was just like, I don't even know if I want to play this game anymore. That's how bad it was when I was first playing through a gyrocopter mission.
And there's no, I mean, they didn't need to make that slow. They really didn't need to make that slow. If there was some kind of quick way of getting up and, oh my god, I've got to quickly do this. And I feel like that's what the game should be about. Quick reactions, maybe a quick change of pace if they really wanted to do that, of like not the gyrocopter but the dropping of the drone that the gyrocopter does, something like that. If they did that in a quick way, it wouldn't have been as bad. But I that segment annoyed me. Not as bad as the land robots, the tank and the chicken legs, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I didn't like those bits either.
Yeah, well, I was hoping that, you know, when I first did the mission, I was like, okay, this is kind of like a nice little slower pace, like a nice cut, and I think that's what they intended it to be, was a nice, like a slower paced mission to kind of give the game a little bit more variety. I'm sure that's exactly what they intended to do, but it's just so slow and so boring playing through those missions that I just wanted to put the game down. It was horrible. Anyways,
it doesn't need to be. I mean, Platinum also did Bayonetta. There's no mega slow down parts in that game. It's just fun, like go action, and I feel like that's probably what Star Fox should be. Yeah. So yeah.
I think, you know, honestly, okay. The only other thing I'd say I really want to add in is, I don't know how you did. The game expects you to get these medals.
Oh yeah. I was so bad at the game. I was like, maybe I'll go back later.
Well, okay, that's what I did. I went back later. But the thing is, have you played Mario Sunshine?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Because I feel like this is a good example. You know how, like, when you go to a level in Mario Sunshine. It's a certain shine, and you're getting a certain shine, just like Mario 64. Like, it's a certain shine. And like that shine has different coin placements around the level.
Yeah.
It has, different things like that. And you're trying to do the 100 coin challenge. Sometimes it's more beneficial to choose a different level and a different, going after a different shine than it would be choosing, another shine. Like, because the coin placements are in certain locations. Sometimes there's even more coins for some reason. So in Star Fox, what they want you to do, your 100 coin challenges in Star Fox are how many hits you get throughout the level, right?
How many times you get hit?
And how many enemies destroyed?
Okay.
They call hits. Like, those are your
Right,
hits.
right. Sure.
So the more enemies you destroy in a level, you can get a bronze, a silver, or a gold medal.
Okay.
And so, like, and that's a pretty interesting way to do things, but sometimes most of the times getting that gold medal requires you to be perfect going through the level.
Yeah.
And you'd think they would have a different one, like a platinum one for that, but the thing is platinum. The thing is with doing that, you have to get those gold medals to unlock all the game's content. Because then you get a medal for it, which makes it to where you can go and play more training missions, and you can 100% the game that way. Which, by the way, I guess this isn't too big into spoiler territory, but once you beat the main game, you know how I told you the game, you can jump around to different missions and stuff. So it's not really like it's not really like Star Fox 64, and the fact that Star Fox 64 was just a straight shot through each mission. Once you beat the main game and you defeat Andross, no big spoiler there. Same, because it's the same as Star Fox 64. But once you beat the main game, it unlocks an arcade mode where you do the exact same thing you do on the N64 version, where you just go from stage to stage to stage, and then you beat the game just in one shot. I found that to be really an interesting unlock. And then there's another unlock once you beat the arcade mode all the way through. And I was really excited. I was like, oh my God, what is this going to be? What is this going to be? This is going to be crazy. And it's just a sound test.
Oh dear.
So it gives you the game's music and, the sound effects and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, dude, that's jank. I was really excited for something and that's something that they could have just had there from the beginning. But,
it's go into the options, boing.
yeah. Here's the music. I think the last thing I really want to say, if it's okay with you, is the lack of any sort of multiplayer component besides co-op really sucks.
Yeah, how many? Oh man, let's sort this out for the NX, man. Seriously, how many big Nintendo games are they going to release that would be amazing? I suppose they are sort of going in the right direction. We finally got Mario Kart Online. There's a few issues with that, with the whole talking and stuff. It's still not there, but it works. Pikmin. Oh, if that game was online, Pikmin 3. I've got a bit of a Pikmin crush. I really do. But if that game was online, my God, that would be incredible. Yeah, I mean, obviously Splatoon is, but I mean, there's still, every single time they do it, they're missing something or just not putting it in there at all. It's the way the Western world is with gaming, is they really want to play online, so they really need to cater to that. Really need to cater to that. But I mean, it's something that yet again people are saying in reviews for every single big Nintendo game that comes out, for definitely the Wii and now this as well, the Wii U. It's like, come on.
Well, it's crazy because you can see almost how good it. Okay, to be honest with you, I haven't played the multiplayer component that's in it, the co-op mode, which I think one player controls the ship and the other person shoots.
Apparently, it's the better way to play it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sure that's a lot of fun. Maybe I should definitely give that a shot before I get my review going. But I'm sure that's a lot of fun. And a good way to start screaming and yelling at each other. That's always fun to do.
Wouldn't it be good if they played it like somehow the old way, but then this, if you want to play it in 2-player mode, there's this really cool new way of playing, which is the new way of playing, where one of you controls the cockpit, and exactly how it is. But that was just for 2-player. Or when you complete the game, you unlock this really mental hard version where it's just a normal game in its own right, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was gonna say, I want to say, I don't know if I'm correct about this, I want to say in every previous Star Fox game except for the SNES version, I want to say in every single one they've at least had some sort of split screen multiplayer, and there's nothing of that either.
No.
You don't even get like some sort of split screen thing, and I think, you know, obviously that's partially due to the controls. Like, you don't get some sort of split screen thing where 4 people can grab pro controllers and then you can all just go at it and just destroy each other, you know?
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I used to do that a lot with my friends on Star Fox 64.
If they're not going to do proper online, then at least give us that.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you know, and maybe maybe Nintendo just saw that as the throwaway mode, and they were like, no one's gonna have fun with it. But I had a lot of fun with that back in the day when I was younger.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, they're catering to the hardcore fans by redoing the story and making the graphics they're not circles you're flying through like 15-sided hexagons, whatever that would be. You know, everything to make it purposely look like an old N64 game. You know, get the amiibo to make it look like the old ship in the old graphics. You know, they're catering to the old school, so it give the old school what they want, you know. And you know, but that's Nintendo. They baffle you. They absolutely baffle you. I generally would have put, and I could have put money down on the fact that they will be releasing DLC for Mario Kart to give us those proper battle modes back, and they never did. So you never know. Maybe they will give us this. Who knows?
Well,
Nintendo
I unfortunately,
are a funny beast.
Well, okay, from what I've heard about this game is that the sales have been pretty abysmal all around the board, and so I honestly think Nintendo's probably just going to drop this one like a dead fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is too bad, because honestly, once you do get used to the controls, it's a good game. Is it a great game? No. Is it a good game? Yes, it's a good game, but you should not have to play the game for 4 to 6 hours just to get used to a control scheme. That's terrible. That's abysmal. That's just, and to give the players hardly any options. Oh, another thing that kind of bothers me is half of the game's audio comes out of the gamepad. So if you have the gamepad's audio turned down, it's really weird playing this game.
It should be an option.
Yeah, and there's again, no option to change that kind of thing. You know, I'm gonna bash that too, but
I do like the idea. I really like that it comes. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but you know, it's a bit scratchy sounding. But that's sort of probably what it probably would sound like. You know, with with the N64, you got that sort of sound, and that's sort of what it's supposed to be like. So I've got no problem with that, but give you the option. Come on.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it, and I would honestly most likely leave it on. But you know, I don't know, I guess it's a very thing. But when I'm recording gameplay, I would kind of like to include some clips of the, you know, animals talking to each other. But since I'm recording from the TV, you're just going to see them talking, and since the talking comes out of the gamepad all the time, there's nothing you can do about it. So I just it's just kind of disappointing that there's just, I hate how Nintendo keeps making these games. Like I made that complaint with Yoshi's Woolly World, where there's just, why are you not giving us controller options? Why is it so difficult to do this when in other games?
They've done it with Punch Out, you know, like Punch Out. Imagine if that game was only motion controls.
A lot of people wouldn't like it.
Instant flop, it would be. And giving you the option, yes. And the thing is, I know like practically no one played it with the motion controls on, but I bet you there's loads of kids out there that, you know, picked up Punch Out for the first time, tried it with motion controls, and had a lot of fun. So give you both options. I'm not take away the motion controls sort of, that's not what I'm going for here. They give you both the options. I think, after talking to you, the way this game would have been absolutely stellar is if it played like the old game. You've literally just got that control on. You're just seeing it on the screen. You're not playing it with these down thing here. Obviously, sort out the controls a little bit, but play it like the old games. So you're shooting, and the area roughly where you're shooting is hitting the target rather than having to really be precise and have to look down on the gamepad. Once you've completed the game, this version of Star Fox opens, and imagine what everyone's saying. Oh my fucking god! Do you realize when you complete the game, you get this whole new, like, you've got another screen there, and it would be a good thing, even though it'd be so hard. Everyone would be online. Oh my god, I've managed to get through the harder version of Star Fox, which is the version that we currently have, and it would be like a really big thing. I think if they went like that, maybe it would have been better. But then I'm spitballing here, you know.
No, that's actually really clever, and I think it would be a cool way to get the player used. They could keep almost the same controls and keep the game almost the same, and get the player really get used to the ship controls, and then throw that in there and kind of like ease that in there to where people are like, oh wow, this is kind of neat. But yeah, they from the beginning they throw it in your face, and I think that's probably the main problem that people had with the game.
Absolutely.
It's right there, and they're like, oh, here it is, you better get used to it. Too freaking bad. If you don't like it, kill yourself. You know, and that's just not how it should be, and it's just so weird. It's because
it is such a hard mechanic, and the thing is, like I say, they've pushed motion controls on you before, but they've worked. You know.
Yeah. And it's just so weird. It's so odd to me that Nintendo is just so wishy-washy with we're going to give you a lot of control options. We're not. We're going to give you a lot. We're not. Like, why do you keep going back and forth? Why don't you just stick to, one way to do things? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's about all I really wanted to say about it. I mean, obviously, a lot of the others we've gone pretty freaking in depth on it. But I am disappointed in the lack of multiplayer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Online dogfights would have been awesome, even if it's just like 8 players or even just 4. That would have been a lot of fun.
Or something, you know.
Because you dogfight with the Starwolf clan, and they get the ability to turn into wolves. Like, you know how you turn into a chicken? They get the ability to turn their ships into wolves later on in the game. And it almost makes you imagine, like, when you're going up against the Starwolf team, like, what if you could do 4-on-4s? That would be so much fun. I would have had a freaking blast doing that. Mm-hmm. And, it would have honestly made me want to get used to the controls if they had like online with leaderboards, and they wouldn't even have to have voice chat. I wouldn't care. It would just be a lot of fun to just hook up with random people. Obviously my subscribers do streams of it and stuff like that. Just be so much fun to do that.
Man,
but they didn't, and that's a big letdown. That's too bad.
I'd like to say maybe next time, but maybe this is the last time.
Yeah, considering that this game pretty much flopped, I do not have my hopes up.
But I think it hit on its release. It got into the top. It was like number 4 in Japan. Mm-hmm. It didn't even hit the top spot for something. Star Fox.
Yeah,
Star Fox.
From what I've heard, I think this was in one of the videos I have watched on the game, because I try not to expose myself too much before doing a review. Mm-hmm. But one of the videos I watched, it said that I think this is the least selling Star Fox game in the first week of its release of all time. Even more than the one we've not talked about, the GameCube or that one that came out on was it the DS? Yeah, even more than those. Wow. I think the DS one was Lilac Wars or something. I can't remember. No, Lilac Wars is what Star Fox 64 was.
I haven't played the DS one.
Yeah, I haven't played it either, and apparently it did worse than that. So I mean, that is so bad. Oh my god, and that's depressing. I mean, like, but what do you expect when it comes out to sort of reviews? I mean, obviously it's not as bad as like something like Amiibo Festival, but the lack of options, the lack of everything is just so disappointing. I love when Nintendo goes robust. It's been my most disappointed
game I've got. I mean, I haven't had every game. I didn't get Devil's Third or anything like that.
Yeah,
but it's been my most disappointed Wii U purchase. This generation purchase. Thinking about it, I'm trying to think what other games I've bought this generation, because I've got an Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 as well. I buy so much more for my Wii U. But I think it's because you wait so long, and when Nintendo pump out a game like themselves, like pretty much a first party game, it's always going to be good.
Yeah, it's usually going to be good. Yeah,
and the thing is even like the Wii U has got so many fucking good games on it.
It does.
It's worth every single penny. I am so happy with my Wii U.
Yeah, I can look over at my game shelf and say, wow, a majority of this stuff that I have sitting here, I would go back and play again.
Yeah, no, it's got so few games on it, but then if you compare it to like older systems, it's got so many good ones. Like, and the definitive version, in my opinion, it's definitely not the case for everyone. In my opinion, the definitive version of things like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, that's the best Mario Kart in my opinion. Like,
yep.
oh my god, so many good games. I mean, I know Zombie U is no longer an exclusive, but in my opinion, playing it with the gamepad is the way to play it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've already mentioned my absolute adoreness of Pikmin 3. I've played that in every single different control way of playing it. Oh my god, I love my Wii U so much. Even Mario Party 10, for what it is not the worst game in the world. You know, it is definitely not good, but not great. It's, you know, the mini games themselves are actually not too bad, even though there's only a few of them. I suppose Mario Tennis is okay. I know we're getting into different territories here, but this is the worst game I've played.
Yeah, Mario Tennis is definitely we don't talk about Mario Tennis, but it's. Mario Maker, I mean, obviously, in Mario 3D World is fucking awesome. I love that game.
It really, really is. I mean, obviously, it's in the shadow of Mario Galaxy, which that's in my top 10. But I was gonna say it's hard to beat Galaxy, but I just love that they're like, oh yeah, hey, we're gonna add in a 4-player thing if you guys want to do that. So yeah, there you go. You know, it's neat, and the stages are still, of course, it's Nintendo, fantastic stage design, but you know, with Star Fox, that's what's missing with this, isn't it? You know. To a degree, I mean, they mix it up a bit, sure, with the branching paths, which we haven't mentioned about, you know, nice touches, which isn't the first for the series, but
anybody who's played it before will definitely be used to that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just I don't know.
I'm just continuously talking now because I don't want to end it, but man, I've had more fun bitching about the game than playing the game, which is a real shame because I really find the positive in game. And a lot of my friends are like, no, Dan, this is a bad game. I'm like, it's good. You can't find the good in it, you know. I can't find the good in this.
Well, it has been fun talking about it, and you know, obviously, we want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Let us know what you think, and if you haven't checked out Dan's YouTube channel, there'll be a link in the description, and I'll put up a link right now so you can click it and go check out his content. And we really appreciate you guys coming out. You know, we just wanted to kind of lay everything out, what we thought about the games on the table for you guys to hear. Let us know what you think, seriously, in the comment section.
Yeah, and keep an eye on Nitpick's channel. And for everyone that's listening on my side, go and subscribe to Nitpick. There's already a link up there on the screen, and go check out the description if you're looking at it on a mobile. Go and check out Nitpick's channel. He will be doing one of his typical reviews on this game, which is going to be a barrel of laughs. Do a barrel roll laughs. And it's going to be a good fun time. So go check it out. And you've heard enough from me on this one. I'm not going to bitch and ruin your afternoon anymore. I think that's it, Nitpick.
Yep, sounds good, man. Well, thank you very much for coming out. I had an awesome time discussing this interesting game with you. Yes,
definitely. That's what it is. It's an interesting game, just interesting for the wrong reasons, in my opinion.
Well, we'll see you guys later. Have a great day.
Have a good one, guys. Thank